The phone call that shattered everything began with my mother's voice. Shrill and shaking with rage. "Don't you dare pretend you didn't know what you were doing," she screamed. "We're family. You can't just abandon us because your feelings got hurt." Her words echoed in my ear as I sat frozen in my small home office, watching April rain streak down the window. It was one of those gray Burlington mornings when the world looks washed clean, except nothing felt clean anymore. Everything I believed about my family had been destroyed in the span of one accidental text message. My brother, Kevin, had sent it. He meant to send it to the private group chat he shared with our parents, but instead, he sent it to the family group chat we all used. That was how I found out that my parents had been mocking me for years, calling me their family ATM. My name is Jordan Wright. I'm 35, and until yesterday, I truly believed I was being a good daughter. I built a marketing consulting business from scratch right after college, when it finally became successful. I began sending money to my parents, $3,000 a month, to help with retirement. They'd always struggled, and I wanted them to live comfortably for once. But that text thread, those messages, they told a different story. The family ATM just sent another $3,000 Kevin had written. "LMAO, keep that gravy train running." Dad replied, "She's too stupid to realize we're using her." And then my mother added, "Just bought those golf clubs your father wanted." Jordan would flip if she knew her money went to that instead of Medicare. The messages kept coming, screenshots of years' worth of conversations, all three of them laughing about how easily they could guilt me, talking about which excuse worked best: Dad's heart meds, Mom's broken furnace, Kevin's student loans. I scrolled through the evidence until I couldn't breathe. Every message peeled away another layer of illusion. All the times I'd skipped vacations, all the nights I'd worked late to afford those transfers. It had all been a joke to them. When the knock came on my door that night, I already knew who it was. Through the peephole, I saw Kevin standing there, soaked by the rain, his face twisted with guilt. "Jordan, please," he said the moment I opened the door. "Can I come in? I can explain everything." Explain what I demanded, holding up my phone. "That you and Mom and Dad have been laughing at me behind my back for 5 years, that you all think I'm stupid." His mouth opened and closed, but nothing came out. "Mom and Dad started it," he mumbled finally. "I just went along." I laughed a bitter, hollow sound. "You went along with $3,000 a month for 5 years. That's $180,000, Kevin, not counting all the extra emergencies, the fake dental surgery, the imaginary broken furnace. I gave up buying my own home to help you people." He flinched. "They're scared. Jordan, they can't pay their mortgage now without your help." "Mortgage on what?" I snapped. "The lakeside condo they bought last year, while telling me they were struggling to pay rent." I felt something inside me snap. A final, clean break. "You know what, Kevin? I think you should leave." He started to cry. "Jordan, please. I've been Jordan, please, for too long." I said quietly, "Not anymore." When he finally left, I sat in silence, the rain beating harder against the glass. I couldn't stop shaking. Their words kept replaying in my mind like poison. "She's such a sucker for helping family. Maybe we should start a betting pool how fast she'll send it this time." That night, I pulled up 5 years' worth of bank transfers. Every month, $3,000. Every year, $36,000. Plus another $40,000 in emergencies. Altogether over $200,000. Gone. Gone because I believed in family. Because I thought love meant sacrifice. When I called my best friend, Megan, who also happened to be my attorney, she didn't mince words. "They manipulated you," she said flatly. "You're not an idiot. You're kind. And they used that." I felt my throat close up. I don't even know where to start. "One step at a time." Megan said, "Gather proof, every text, every transfer. Then decide what ties you're cutting and how fast." Her calm voice steadied me. So I did exactly that. I made a 12-page document titled Family Financial Support 2018-2023, line by line. I wrote down every sacrifice, Every lie, every manipulation. By midnight, I had built a record of 5 years of betrayal. The next morning, I woke with a strange sense of clarity. I made 3 phone calls. The first was to the bank closing the supplemental retirement account I had secretly built for my parents, $42,000 transferred back to me. The second was to my health insurance provider. My parents had been listed as dependents. I told the representative the truth, or at least the simplest version of it. They no longer qualify for support. I said, they have their own residence and income. By noon, they were removed from my plan. The third was to my life insurance company. I changed the beneficiaries from Robert and Patricia Wright to a local children's charity. Then I sat at my desk, shaking, and realized the only remaining connection was Kevin's student loan, $580 a month. 2 more years to go. I stared at the payment schedule, wondering if I owed him even that much. Before I could decide, my phone buzzed with a message from Kevin. Mom and Dad are freaking out. Dad's blood pressure is through the roof. What did you do? That told me everything I needed to know. Not a word of apology, just panic about losing the money. I typed back. Their consequences are not my problem anymore. Then I composed one last email. Robert and Patricia. Attached is a detailed accounting of the financial support I have provided over the past 5 years, totaling $221,800. Effective immediately. All transfers and benefits are terminated. You have been removed from my insurance and the retirement account has been closed. Your own messages reveal how you mocked and manipulated me. Do not contact me again unless it is to repay what you took under false pretenses. Jordan Wright. I hit send, then I blocked every number and deleted the group chat that had once been my daily connection to family. 3 days later, they showed up on my doorstep. My father's face was red with fury, my mother's eyes wide with practiced tears. Kevin hovering behind them. Jordan, my father shouted through the door, you can't just cut us off. We're your family. I didn't open it. I just whispered to myself, family doesn't steal from you. Inside me, something shifted, quiet but final. The ATM was closed. The daughter they mocked was gone. The pounding on the door finally stopped, replaced by muffled voices outside. I peeked through the curtain and saw my father pacing on the porch, his hand slicing through the air as he argued with Kevin. My mother was crying again, loudly, theatrically, the same kind of crying that used to pull me back into their orbit every time I tried to set boundaries. But not this time. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass of the window, feeling both hollow and steady at once. My entire life had been built around the idea that family always comes first. Yet as I watched them leave my driveway, a slow realization washed over me. They'd never put me first at all. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine and opened my laptop. I started rereading all the old texts, hundreds of them spanning 5 years. I wanted to understand. I wanted to know when the love had turned into leverage. The earliest messages were small things, my dad joking about hitting up the golden child for help with rent. My mom assuring Kevin that Jordan never asks questions. But gradually, the jokes became strategies. By year 3, they were coordinating lies like professionals. Say your heating broke again. One message read, mention how hard winter's been on Dad's health. She'll wire it before noon. My throat closed. I thought of every night I'd stayed up late finishing projects, trying to keep my business afloat while still making sure they never went without. I thought of the Christmas I skipped buying myself a new coat so I could send them an extra bonus, and the text my mother had sent back then. You're such a blessing. Honey. We don't know what we'd do without you. Now I did. They'd laugh. The next few days blurred together. My phone stayed silent until my mother found a new way to reach me. A certified letter arrived, hand-addressed in her neat cursive. Inside was a note written on thick stationery, the kind she only used for holidays. Jordan, we don't understand why you're punishing us like this. Yes, we made some jokes in poor taste, but families tease each other all the time. Your father's heart medication is over $450 a month without insurance. Please, don't let us suffer. We're your parents. We might lose the condo if you don't help. Love. Mom. The tears didn't come this time. Instead, a cold, clear anger did. I called the pharmacy that handled my father's prescriptions, pretending to be my mother. "Hi, this is Patricia Wright," I said softly. "I just need to check on my husband's medication cost without insurance." The pharmacist clicked through her computer. "Let's see. Robert Wright. Yes, here it is. That medication is $42 for a 30-day supply." 42, not 450? I hung up and stared at my phone for a long time, my hand shaking. The lie wasn't just about money, it was about control. They didn't just want what I could give, they wanted to make me feel guilty enough to keep giving forever. The next day, Kevin cornered me in the parking lot of my office building. His eyes were bloodshot, his hair unwashed. "Jordan, please," he said, stepping in front of me as I tried to unlock my car. "They're falling apart. Dad's talking about bankruptcy." "That's not my problem," I said evenly. "How can you say that they're our parents?" "Are they?" I met his eyes. "Because real parents don't scam their children. Real parents don't create group chats to mock their daughter's generosity." He looked down, mumbling something about mistakes. But I cut him off. "A mistake is forgetting a birthday." "Kevin, what they did was systematic. It was calculated." He exhaled shakily. "They can't pay the condo mortgage without you." "They shouldn't have bought a condo," I said, "especially while pretending they were renting a small apartment." His voice rose. "What about Dad's medication?" I smiled a small, bitter smile. "The one that costs $42 a month. He can cover that with a part-time job." Kevin's mouth dropped open. "How did you—" "I did my homework." I interrupted. "No more lies." I stepped around him. "If they're in trouble, tell them to look into government assistance programs. That's what they're for." He grabbed my arm. "Jordan, please, they're talking about moving in with me. I can't handle that." I turned back to him, meeting his desperate eyes. "Then welcome to consequences." 2 weeks later, I sat across from Dr. Bennett, the therapist Megan had recommended. She was a middle-aged woman with silver hair and kind, steady eyes, for the first time in years. I let myself speak freely. "I feel guilty," I confessed. "They're losing things, the condo, their club membership, their car, and part of me still feels responsible." Dr. Bennett nodded slowly. "That's natural. You're grieving. Jordan, not just the relationship you lost, but the version of your parents you thought you had, the fantasy of family you built your life around." Her words pierced me. "But they don't deserve my guilt," I said. "They don't." She agreed, "But guilt isn't logical. It's emotional residue. You gave them love, time, money, years of your life. Even when you cut them off, those feelings don't vanish overnight." I pressed my palms to my knees. "I don't know who I am without being the one who fixes everything." "That's part of your healing," Dr. Bennett said. "You built your identity around being the provider. Now you get to decide who Jordan is when she's not saving everyone else." That night, I thought about her words as I sat alone in my quiet townhouse. The house finally felt like mine, not just a place I came home to after work, but a space untouched by obligation. No more late-night transfers, no guilt-driven gifts, just me. But peace never lasts long when you've grown up in chaos. A week later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was my father's brother, Uncle Pete. We hadn't spoken in years. "Jordan," he began awkwardly, "I just got a call from your dad. He says you cut them off, that they're about to lose everything. What's going on?" I laughed softly. "It's complicated. I'm guessing he left out a few details." Pete said dryly. "Mind telling me your side?" So I did. I told him about the group chat, the lies, the fake emergencies, the 6 figures of stolen trust. There was silence on the other end when I finished. "I'm not surprised," Uncle Pete said finally. "Your father pulled similar stunts with me years ago, tried to guilt me into paying off his credit cards. It's why we barely talk." My chest tightened. You knew what he was capable of." "Would you have believed me?" he asked gently. "They had you wrapped around their finger. Sometimes people have to see the truth themselves." He was right. I wouldn't have believed anyone who painted my parents as liars. For what it's worth, Uncle Pete added. I told your dad I wouldn't take them in, told them to downsize and start living within their means. He hung up on me. After the call ended, I sat there for a long time, staring at the wall. I wasn't crazy for cutting them off. I wasn't cruel. I was just the latest in a long line of people they'd used, and the first one to say no. That night, Kevin texted again from a new number. Mom and Dad are moving in with me. They're selling the condo. Dad's furious. I can't believe this is happening. I didn't reply. 3 days later, another text. The condo sold. Dad's car got repossessed. They're on food stamps now. Are you happy? No, I wasn't happy. But I wasn't broken anymore. Either. Weeks passed, and for the first time in years, silence became my companion. No guilt-laced phone calls, no manipulative texts begging for help, no sudden emergencies that only my wallet could fix. My life, once tangled around theirs like a web of obligation, finally started to feel like mine. But healing is strange. It doesn't move in straight lines. Some mornings I woke up feeling powerful, free. Even other mornings I'd stare at old family photos and feel that familiar ache in my chest. I missed the idea of my parents, the ones I thought loved me selflessly. The ones who'd hugged me after bad days in college, who'd told me I was their pride and joy. Those people had never really existed. At least not in the way I needed them to. Dr. Bennett had warned me this might happen. You're mourning, she'd said. Not just them, but the role you played. Grieving the giver is part of healing. So I let myself grieve, quietly. I'd light a candle at night, open my journal, and write down the truth. They used me, but I loved them anyway. And now, I choose myself. Then, one evening 6 months after I cut them off, I came home from a business trip and froze in my driveway. Two figures sat on my front porch. Even from a distance, I recognized them immediately. My father looked smaller somehow, his shoulders hunched. My mother's hair had grown out, gray streaks replacing the glossy blonde she used to maintain with monthly salon visits I'd unknowingly paid for. My first instinct was to drive away, pretend I hadn't seen them, but Dr. Bennett's words echoed in my mind. You can face them when you're ready, not for them, for your own peace. So I parked. My hands trembled as I unlocked the door, my heart hammering in my chest. Jordan, my mother said softly, rising to her feet, please, we just want to talk. I looked at her carefully. The designer purse was gone. Her nails, once perfectly manicured, were chipped. My father stood behind her, his voice hoarse when he spoke. We've learned our lesson, he said. These past months have been hell. I pushed the door open and stepped aside. 5 minutes, I said flatly. Inside. They sat on my couch, awkward, fragile, as if unsure where to put their hands. I stayed standing. We're sorry, my mother began. We never should have taken advantage of your generosity. My father nodded quickly. We've lost everything, the condo, the car, our savings. We had to move in with Kevin. His place is tiny. Your mother sleeps on a pull-out couch. The country club revoked our membership, my mother added tearfully. All our friends, they don't call anymore. I said nothing. I let them talk. My medication has been hard to afford without your insurance. My father continued. Medicare doesn't cover everything. Still, I stayed silent, arms crossed. When they finally stopped, the silence in the room was deafening. I looked at them both, waiting, hoping for something real. But there was no mention of remorse, no acknowledgement of what their betrayal had done to me. Only the same tired list of what they'd lost. Is that it? I asked quietly. My mother's eyes widened. We want to make things right, she said. We've really suffered. Jordan, we've learned our lesson. What lesson would that be? They exchanged nervous glances before my father said, that we shouldn't have taken you for granted. Translation, we should have hidden it better. I sighed. No, you haven't learned anything. What do you mean? My mother asked sharply. We came all this way to apologize. I looked her in the eyes. No, you came here to tell me how much you've suffered without my money. Not once have you acknowledged how your betrayal made me feel. We said we're sorry, my father snapped. For getting caught, maybe, I replied. Not for what you did. They both looked stunned. I took a breath steady. Calm. Do you know what a healthy family looks like? It's not this. It's not treating your daughter like an ATM and mocking her behind her back. It's love, mutual respect, trust. My mother's expression hardened. So you're just going to keep punishing us over a few jokes? I almost laughed. A few jokes you conned me for 5 years. This isn't punishment, I continued, my voice quiet but firm. This is protection. I'm protecting myself from people who've shown they don't have my best interests at heart. My father's voice rose. We're your parents. And I was your daughter, I said, not your personal bank. I moved toward the door and opened it. I wish you well. I hope you find a way to live within your means, but I can't be part of your lives anymore. My mother's voice broke into a sob. You can't mean that. We need you. That's the problem, I said softly. You don't need me. You need what I can provide. There's a difference. My father stood up, anger replacing his earlier act of contrition. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us. I met his glare. What exactly have you done for me, Dad? Besides take and lie and laugh. He had no answer. They both stepped outside. My mother turned back one last time, her eyes glistening. You'll regret this. Jordan, family is all you have in the end. I shook my head slowly. No. Mom, family is supposed to be the people who love you unconditionally. I've built that family with my friends, my work, and my own peace. What you offered was never love. It was a transaction. I closed the door behind them and leaned against it, listening to their footsteps fade down the walkway. For a moment, I waited for guilt to crash over me again, but instead, I felt something else entirely calm. For the first time in my life, the air felt light. My house felt mine. My heart didn't race at the sound of my phone. The weight of 5 years of manipulation lifted, and I realized the truth. The ATM was permanently closed, and I was finally free. If you've ever been hurt by the people who were supposed to protect you, know this: you have every right to choose peace over guilt. Sometimes love means letting go, and sometimes that's the bravest thing you'll ever do. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more real-life inspired stories about betrayal, healing, and finding strength after pain. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had to cut off toxic family ties? I read every word you share.